Okay, good evening. How are you all doing tonight? Hey, first off, thank you very much. My name is Colonel Dane Rideout, and as of a whopping 70 or so days ago, I'm your new Garrison commander. And I want to welcome you to our opportunity to put out some information to the community, which I think is very important. Before we start, I'm going to lay out a couple of ground rules, just how I run things from my standpoint. A lot of issues that I want brought forward, and I think it's okay to be very passionate about your issues, but also this is not the forum for those individuals that pertain to you individually. I've got a host of experts up here, and I'm paying a lot of overtime right now. But it's important. But please try to keep the questions if it applies to the masses. And if you've got a question that's just specifically in your lane, all of them will stay afterward and be able to answer those for you. And of course, all those will get the visibility from myself here. Real quick, I'm going to introduce my team that's up here. And I will tell you that being a garrison commander is not something that they prepare you for by any means. And I have a lot of adult supervision, which is a good thing. And so I'm going to start over, and this is a myriad of individuals. Not all of them work directly for me, but we're all in the same team pushing the noodle up a hill, and our tenant organizations as well. Now I'm short a couple of them because we had a couple of, and I'll explain here in a little bit. My DPW is out taking care of something very important for us right now and stuff, and I've got a couple of others that are a little bit late. But real quick, I'm going to start over here. If you would, please, Jim, just introduce yourself and then where you're from, if you could.
Hey, James Gallagher. I am the director of the commissary here at West Point. I'm originally from the area, grew up in Poughkeepsie, and now reside in Rhinebeck.
I'm Bill Berridge. I'm with the Director of Logistics here at West Point. I live in Bronx, New York. I'm not native to there, you can tell by my accent, but happy to be here.
Hi, David Rudy, Principal of West Point Schools.
Command Sergeant Major Garrison, Sergeant Major.
Hi, I'm Charlie Petty. I'm the Director of DPTMS, and that means I've got the museum, I've got the ranges, Constitution Island, if you're security for pass, for your security clearances, that kind of stuff.
Hi, I'm Maura Demolin. I'm acting FMWR today, Tony Brown, and I've been here almost 30 years, and I live in Cornwall.
Hi, I'm Bill McMillan. I'm the Director of Emergency Services, and I have responsibility for the Department of the Army Security Guards you see at the gate, the military police, and the fire department.
Mike Calzico, the RCI Project and Asset Manager. I'm the Army guy on the RCI project.
Hi, I'm Rich Wagner. I'm the project director for the housing project here. I work for Belfort Beatty Communities, and I have with me the assistant community manager, Eileen Marks.
Hi, good evening. I'm Alex Memorial. I'm the store manager for the Exchange, and behind me is John Jennings, services manager.
Good evening. My name is Keith Katz. I'm from the Installation Safety and Occupation Health Office.
Okay, great. All right, this is going to be sort of a me pushing information to you, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from my perspective. Knew that I was coming to this position about 18 to 24 months ago, and so we desperately started, both my wife and I started looking for information on West Point. This is our second time here. I'm not a graduate of the academy. I graduated from Ball State, which will make things very interesting here in a couple of months. I will be rooting for Army, just so we are all straight. Unless you guys are Ball State alumni, and then we'll. But I was here as a captain and a major, and so it's interesting coming back from this perspective. So I understand a little bit how the installation itself works here. What I think is important for everybody to know here, what's different is that you see us wearing a different patch. We work for Installation Management Command. My boss is Major General Jones, who's down in San Antonio, and my big boss, my senior rater, is the superintendent. So I sort of have two masters. All of our funding comes from MCOM, and which is different from the funding that comes to the academy. Big difference between USMA and West Point. So anything that it has to do with the garrison, the facilities, the 16,000 plus acres, you name it, that falls underneath the garrison, not to be confused with the academy. And so it's some gray area, but it's a very important point that I want to throw out there. Our mission here is to support the senior mission commander, which is the 3-star. I am here to support the Academy and their missions, and that's to train cadets. But I'm also here for the community, which is important. And it's something that, as we look for information, and I'll talk a little bit about, we started going from an electronic standpoint, we started looking for the website piece, which is horrible, by the way, and why it's, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a peek. You guys who came tonight get a chance to see a peek at what we're about to introduce. The information with the Academy is horrible, or with the community is horrible right now, and that's what we're trying to fix. So if there's a theme that you pick up tonight, it is how do we, the Garrison, communicate with the Academy, or with the community. It's a very fiscally constrained environment right now. That's probably the best thing to put it. As I walked in, I found a workforce that was depleted. I'm short currently right now about 182 people, and the majority of them are in DPW, the Director of Public Works, the guys that fix this place. We had a $12 million cut in our budget, and we are trying to maintain the same common level of support with less people, less money, and same demand. And oh, by the way, the population grew just a teeny bit with bringing in of the prep school. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to get after that piece. And so and I think it'll start, but I want you to understand why we do certain things and how we're trying to get after it. Here's my whopping 70 days assessment. I've sort of gone all over the West Point and met with quite a few people. I still haven't seen everything that I'm responsible for yet, and it'll take a couple more months for that to happen. But here's what I'm saying. First off, I'm seeing a older than normal workforce, which is not a bad thing. There's a lot of history that comes along with this place. Most of the workforce doesn't live here. They live 60, 70 miles away, which is interesting when it comes to hiring and stuff like that. And so that's why you see a sort of a mass exodus at times out of here, in the afternoons type of piece. But it's an interesting type of a workforce. West Point looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I think that sometimes we hurt ourselves by doing such a great job of making it look good that what you don't see is behind the walls that this place was built and it's deteriorating rapidly. If you were to give me $1 billion, I couldn't fix everything right now. That's how bad it is. We are at max capacity, somewhere in the 90. And I wish Matt was here to back me up, 98 percentile of exceeding our power. So you see the lights going in and out a lot. We've got 2 power lines, and one cannot carry the load. We have a water treatment facility that needs to be rebuilt about 30 years ago. There are no standard configurations of housing, and you'll see a little bit, that's the biggest problem we've got with Balfour Beatty. There's different architects, different houses. Every time I open up a wall, you find something else and unique, and buried power lines and buried munitions all over the place. And oh, by the way, the Historical Society and the environmentalists get a say in this. And then there's a view shed. You have to make it look the same way it was because the people, believe it or not, across the river have a vote in all this piece. So it's pretty interesting. It's a dynamic piece to it. But it's a great place to work, and it's a great place to live. Our kids grew up and went to the West Point schools, learned to ski on Victor Constant ski slope and stuff. So we've got a huge connection to this piece and to this place. So anyway, that sort of sets the tone. This is not an excuse, but I just want to set the conditions for you, what we're up against right now. I get a lot of help with my job. The superintendent likes to run around quite a bit, and we fix a lot of lights and clocks, and we take things off. Last night's storm, took a lot of guys off what they were doing to clean up things. So it's Mother Nature plays in this, and it's quite interesting. FMWR, community, very important. Got some interesting things that happen here. FMWR this year, believe it or not, it's sort of you make money in order to put back into the program. FMWR, because of cutbacks, and I do get some money from the Army, they cut a lot of money, $1.6 million, which means that no capital re-improvements. Meaning I didn't invest any money back in. I didn't buy new bowling balls. I didn't buy, broken playground equipment or those type of things. And so we're looking very closely at the services that we offer. There are certain services that we offer. The library is a perfect example that doesn't make money, but it costs quite a bit of money to keep it open. and versus, the golf course, which makes money, or the bowling alley, and those type of things. And so we have to weigh those as we look at those. Now, I'm going to ask the community what your wants and desires are. I don't want to be making these in a vacuum. And so that's why it's very important for these events. And we're going to ask, I can't please everybody, but we definitely want to know what's most important to you as if we get to the point where we have to reduce services. Hopefully we don't get to that piece. I want to talk to you and switch gears here real quick. I'm trying to give you information. I think that if I was living here, and I am living here, what's important to me? I want to show you some visible projects that are going on. Can you throw up the slide real quick? And I'm going to put my engineer hat on. I did sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm going to. Here's the cool thing. Aviator AG dude. Okay, that's what you have as a Garrison commander. There are 200 plus construction projects going on West Point right now. It's absolutely amazing. I told you it is incredible. And it impacts you all in some sort of fashion. There's always second, third orders of effects. But let's talk about a couple of things that have happened. Lusk Reservoir. Everybody got pretty concerned. I tried to get left of your guys' decision cycle and tell you, hey, this is what we're doing with Lusk Reservoir. But we were pointing it. And of course, I'm not an engineer, so I had to ask, what does pointing mean? And that means that we're putting mortar inside the cracks. We're actually fixing and making it more watertight. It was not by any means. It was inspected. We put a new valve in there. We have 30%, somewhere in that neighborhood, of the DOD's dams. Believe it or not, here at West Point. And a lot of inspections go on, and there's certain things you do. So we lowered the water level, fixed it. It's all good to go, and you can see the water level. We should have water running back over here very quickly. So that was a good news story. So that's what we were doing with Lusk Reservoir. The next piece is we're about to tear down Central Apartments. And you've seen, and it's been a pretty contentious issue, especially for those individuals that live down Central area. 62 parking spots is what it removed, unfortunately, as we tear that piece down. And we're tearing down Central Apartments, and for the expressed reason that it will become the staging area for a new cadet barracks that's going up. $192 million project. All of you that are in here, you will never see, unless you stay here past 5 years, will see the end of that project. Largest largest military construction project in the Army. Big good thing. We haven't built a barracks since 1950, I think is what it is, and we need that barrack space, because right now we have quite a few of the Corps cadets that are living 3 people to a 2-man room. It will also bring in infrastructure, cooling, heating, electricity, and such in the basement of that new barracks that will power the rest of bring us up our efficiencies up in our other barracks. So it's a good thing. It's just going to be painful from a construction standpoint. And so when Central Apartments comes down, it will be the staging area. We will not get that parking back for quite some time. So I just want to make you aware of that piece. Eisenhower Hall, we've done 2 phases of construction. We are about to start phase 3. About $7 million project in there. And the main reason that we're doing what we're doing in there, to be honest with you, is we are putting a fire suppression system in Eisenhower Hall, which is something that's needed for years and years, and it's got some air conditioning and heating problems. It's just an older building. It's time to fix it, type of thing. So that's going on. Got my notes here. Stony and Thayer Gates. Here's some good news. Thayer, you've seen the construction that's going on out there. You saw the guys pouring the actual cement today, concrete for some of you northerners. Or southerners, or however that works. I don't know. I've lived all over the place. So the good news is that we're about to, by the end of hopefully the first week in October, we will have put in the force protection measures and allow us to go back to normal traffic in Thayer. Okay, which is great. So no more going all the way around, Buffalo Soldier Field and that very painful thing. We'll still maintain the same level of security. We've just done some technical things in there, and that's a good news story. Stony Lonesome Gate, you've seen there's some permanent, no-kidding gates that go in there. With the exception of putting 2 big, very large trucks in there, we didn't have the ability to actually close the gates if we needed to in a force protection type of piece. There's really I don't know if while I'm here we'll ever come up with a circumstance why we have to close it, but it's something we have maintained that we have to do, and the money was already there. So that's what they're actually putting up there at those gates. The sidewalks of the school. This is an interesting one, and I think it's very important for the community. Our contractor got a little bit ahead of themselves and actually got into phase 2 instead of phase 1, and it was brought up at a school board meeting where we got a chance to address it. And what it caused was, and if those of you that have small children, it caused the students to cross in several different areas. The principal brought it to our attention very quickly. We were able to get with the Corps of Engineers, and so what you're about to see is that phase 2 project, and we haven't even finished phase 1 yet, fix the sidewalk. Now, let me kill a couple of rumors. That sidewalk was not put in or taken out, and adjustments were not made for the coach's house. Okay, I've heard that on 3 or 4 different occasions. That's not it at all. It's just the contractors got a little bit ahead of themselves. We're going to fix it, and we think here in the next couple of weeks that we'll get back to, which is a good thing. So now that we've got the MP that's out there, the students will be a lot safer in that piece. But that's some of the construction you're going to see there. Everybody know where the medical warehouse is up in Grey Ghost? Okay, we're going to tear that down, and we're going to build 5 more coaches' houses up there. We don't pay for that. That's being paid for by ODIA. It's a good thing. And if we want to recruit the type of coaches that we want to make sure they've got the facilities. This is we should have done this several years ago. It's just taken us that long to get here. The new visitor center. Has anybody heard about this piece? As you drive into West Point and you look over to the right-hand side, you see Spellman Hall, and you sort of see our visitor center and stuff. In the in-state, the superintendent's vision is that Spellman Hall will eventually come down, and there will be a new visitor center that is built onto the museum. You'll actually start seeing some groundbreaking, and they're actually going to get after the visitor center here pretty quickly. The changes to you, what affect you the most is it's going to be a little bit difficult in there. The normal visitor center won't be there, but the gift shop that's in there, we're going to relocate the gift shop. I'm going to have to relocate the Red Cross, and we're going to have to relocate a couple of other people, the West Point tours and such. So that's what you're going to see from that. That's really the big stuff that really affects the community. There are 190 plus other projects that are going on fixing the internal workings of this place, but stuff I wanted you to see. Now, here's some cool stuff. My staff up here is I'm another Garrison commander. Some of these guys are, on their 3rd and 4th Garrison commander, some 5th, 6th, some of them 10th, 20th, I'm not saying anything, Mike. I'm just, So I've got lots of new ideas. Sergeant Major and I are both coming from Fort Bragg, and we're looking through a different lens right now. So we're sort of making the staff go through some mental gymnastics. Some stuff we're doing over again, some stuff that it's new and stuff. But here's a couple of things. I, like the rest of you, walked into the gym and it was closed on Sunday. How come we didn't, how come I want to be able to use the gym on Sunday? So I went to the MWR folks, and just so you understand the thought process behind some of this stuff, I only got so much money. I can only pay these guys. I can't increase the hours, so we can maybe do the hours differently. And so we tried polling. I had no way of talking to the community. So we sort of had to shoot from our hip on this and come up with hours that best fit. So far, it's been pretty well received. Hey, I'm glad you opened it up on Sundays. Is there different things you can... We can adjust that stuff. I just need to get some feedback. Well, the whole feedback piece was, and we've actually hired Nils Anderson, who Nils and I worked in a previous life before, way back when, who will now be taking over all of my public affairs, if you will. And right now, I'm a big believer, because I got on Facebook because that's how I made sure that my daughter was behaving and not putting things on her Facebook that she shouldn't be. But what I found out was that's how a lot of people communicate now. My wife has an iPhone, and if you can't get to that information within 2 clicks, it's sort of, you go someplace else to get the information. So I also, like everybody else, how many of you are members of Living on West Point? Okay, a great website. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a very important website. Not all of it is applicable from a official standpoint. There's a lot of stuff that and a lot of things I can't replicate, nor do I want to replicate. It's a great website, and I really appreciate those individuals who took on the task of filling the void, because the Garrison didn't, okay? And so they needed some way to get information. However, what does concern me a little bit on there, why we established our Facebook is people would throw out policies and say, hey, what's the policy on riding a bike on West Point in protective gear? A lot of input from the community, on, the MPs don't check that stuff and just go without it and stuff. That's really not what we want to do. We want to make sure the right information is getting out there. And so that's where our Facebook comes in. And I'm trying not to throw another Facebook out there, but there needs to be a relevant, fast, up-to-date, continuously monitored Facebook. I mean, for example, the weather last night that was coming out, the construction projects that are going to involve you, stuff that's happening. We need to figure out what you see so that it doesn't become white noise. And so I need some help with that. But there is a Facebook site that's out there. It's interesting, my number one post, and you can sort of monitor these things, was whether or not, what do you want, an AFES or a Starbucks? It was received very loud and clear, after 5,000 hits, what you guys want. So I appreciate the feedback. I'm going to show you something, and it's, I guess, a teaser, if you will. It's not ready to go prime time yet. We're at about the 70% solution, but I don't know about you all, but we thought when we got here that the West Point website was horrible. It was just archaic. I couldn't get anything off of it. It wasn't relevant. It was just old, that type of stuff. And so what we've done here, and this is not my idea by any means, there are other installations out there that have a website that all the information is right there on their main page, or at least you can get to it from 1 or 2 clicks off of that piece. And let me orient you this, and I apologize, I forgot to bring my pointer, but there's certain Garrison template things that I've got to do on these type of things. And top left, you're going to see, I said no one cares about my vision or all that type of stuff. You guys don't look at that stuff. You want to look at the important stuff that's on there. But MCOM said there's certain things you must put on there. So you're going to see that piece. So all on the left-hand side is going to be relevant information, or at least links where you can get to that piece. The middle, in the hot topics, is going to be, no kidding, in-your-face stuff that's happening around the community immediately. So you can jump on there. If it's road closures, if it's severe weather alerts, road statuses. Now we're actually going to move the road statuses up into where the local weather is in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to give you, in either green or red, what the road conditions are. Is 218 open? Yeah, it's a big question. Everybody's asking. Is it open? Is it not open? And stuff. We've got guys that will update this piece that work with the Department of Transportation and get after this information. My favorite part is the calendar, okay? And we're going to throw on there eventually, there's going to be several calendars. One, there's going to be the community calendar. There's going to be a West Point schools calendar. There's going to be an Orange County schools calendar. And then the intent is to get after an MWR/ODIA calendar. And I'll tell you why. How many of you all have been sitting here that, you want to find out what's happening on West Point today from, there's any NCAA event that's out there type of thing. You got to go digging through people's different websites to get to. You're going to be able to hover over, if you can you hover over one of the things for me? Go up one, I think it'll show it. It hasn't been populated. Like I said, this is still in construction. But what it will do is, if whichever calendar you're on, it will list out all the events where they are and give you some basic information. And then eventually you'll be able to, if you need more information, you will plug onto that one. So in 2 clicks, it'll give you the who, what, when, where, why, all the details on that stuff. The one thing I see on living on West Point is, hey, when's the yard sale, and where's COIS, sign up for this and that, and what's always constantly looking for information. This is the calendar that's going to get after that. Now, it's a little bit of work on my directors, but it's because each one of them has it. But that's what the intent is, to get after that piece. And you got to give us. We're in the crawl stage right now, but eventually we're going to get to there. And I have a team that's going to manage this. But one place where you can get information. Please scroll up a little bit. My mom doesn't want a Facebook page. It scares the hell out of her. She doesn't even use credit cards, over the internet. She's one of those type of. She still probably doesn't have a remote control because she's afraid she'll trip over the cord. She's one of those type of people. Go up to scroll down, please. The West Point Facebook, I need individuals who don't want to create a Facebook page access to it. They can see the Garrison's West Point Facebook right here on our website without having a Facebook account. Not my idea again. Other people have done this, but I think it's a great idea, so I stole it. Okay? Keep going down, please. some news that, replied, guys came back and said, hey, I want to see early bird on there type of thing. And then we will keep going down, please. And then we will build this piece out. The intent is to get some YouTube stuff out there, get out to the kids' events and stuff, take pictures of stuff that are happening, that are in award ceremonies at school, stuff. This is for the community. This isn't for the West Point cadets and all that type of stuff. This is for the community, the family members that are out there. So hopefully you'll see your kids out there and you'll see pictures of stuff, that type of stuff. That's what we're trying to get after, and it's going to be, Nils has got the monster task of getting after that piece. So, yes, ma'am.
Regarding your website, other garrisons have put up their org charts with individuals' names to their positions, to their emails, to their phone numbers. That is so helpful as residents. Is there any way we can do that on our website?
We will. We will get some sort of piece so you know who to go after. Definitely we'll get after the phone numbers piece because, people do rotate so much and stuff, and that may become laborious at first. But definitely we'll try to get after the other piece. I want to draw from that. That's a great point. And we are taking notes in here, by the way, on your stuff, so that's good. Okay. And I'm trying to run through this with information I want you to hear. The West Point Club. The West Point Club, when we were here last time, it was, the club systems, they sort of died back in the 90s type of thing. The West Point Club wasn't much of a place when we were here and stuff, and I was a little bit, I was sort of hoping that someone had brought it back to life here. Here's the cool piece. We've got a new management that's out there. Not my doing, this was Mike Tarsa's doing, that he hired and MWR's doing, went after and got some great Americans that no kidding are going to get after the West Point Club. I don't know if you've been there lately, but please give it another shot. They are really doing a fantastic job. Howard is the manager that's over there, and you'll see him walking around quite a bit with his team. Talk to him, ask him, give him information, give him input. What do you want to see? That's your club. How do we make this club better? And remember, here's the difference between MWR and DCA. Very key piece here. DCA, money that they make, it says all for the core, it goes directly back to the cadets. MWR goes to the community. And it's sort of, you're sort of in competition here a little bit, but it's something that's very important. Hey, Colonel Rideout, how come we don't have? Well, DCA is I'm not by any means trying to say that, don't sponsor DCA. It's very important. We provide for the core as well. But all those MWR comes right back to the community. Very important piece there. That's part of the revenue. But anyway, the West Point Club is if you haven't been there in quite some time, it's great. And we're trying to figure out what your wants are. No kidding, what are your wants to go after them? What's coming? Throw up the ICE card. We came from Bragg. The Sergeant Major and I both said, hey, listen, iPhones. Everybody's got iPhones. How come I see all the comments on there about, how do I file an ICE complaint, and stuff like that, or how do I, an ICE comment, not a complaint all the time. We do like to see the positive ones, which is good and stuff. But QR codes, quick response codes is what they are. Everybody, you take a picture of it, you got to download an app and stuff, and it takes you immediately into, what we're doing is we're building QR codes, and you'll see them at each of the installations. So if you go to the bowling alley, you want to make a comment about the bowling alley on the checkouts or locations that are very, as you're entering or exiting, you can actually make comments, and it drags you to it. Because I need feedback. I don't need you to wait till you get back to your home station, your email to type something. You'll have forgotten the person's name or some of the events and stuff. So it's sort of an initiative we're getting after. Now here's the cool thing about QR, or about the ICE comments. Sergeant Major and I read every single one of them. Every single one of them. I bring them home. That's my homework, believe it or not. Okay? I read every single one of them, and I also know that every single one of these individuals up here personally make the responses back to those individuals. Okay? We take these things very seriously. Now remember that these are for the garrison. So the hospital, for example, they have a different system that they use. But for those installations, those facilities that fall underneath the garrison, this is how we get the feedback, and we go after this. Trend analysis we do on it. These comments do go back to MCOM as well, at the higher levels and stuff. I want to hear what's good, and I want to hear what's bad, okay, on there type of thing. And please keep them professional, because there are human beings at the other end of these things. Okay. There's a new coffee shop coming. which is a good thing. And I know I saw a lot of comments on there. I want to make it very clear to the community that I was the individual. I'm the reason that the coffee shop closed down. Okay, and I didn't close it down to be a bad guy or anything like that. But I'm telling you that in my opinion and based upon my observations, it needed to be closed down for very good reasons. And you have to trust me on this one, okay? Very good reasons, okay, from a safety standpoint and others. But we are going to replace it with another coffee shop. You know, I have 5,000 reasons of what you want there, and I will tell you that we are in negotiations with them, and it's looking good. So anyway, but I didn't say who, so you know that. Okay, I'm also exploring, there's the haves and the have-nots. Stony Lonesome, Lee housing area, Gray Ghost, you get to the top. When we lived here last time, we were actually at Stewart Army Sub Post, which was interesting. Thanks, Mike. He was the DPW at the time. The housing draw for us was a very significant emotional event, which I'm sure it was for all of you, type of thing. But we lived in Stony too. We were one of the first residents to live in Stony too, and so it was sort of nice to have that stuff. But then we removed the PX from down here. You know what do you don't so you believe it or not, it's a long distance to drive up to the piece up there. I think, and we're working with AFES right now. AFES thinks, at least at the store level, we're working with the upper management right now. There needs to be a shop that's down at the level for Gray Ghost and Lee and Old Brick and stuff like that. And so we're pursuing that piece, and it will be geared towards stuff that you need that diapers and bread, milk, and that type of stuff. But anyway, AFES is really working with us on that. At least they're on the spot now, and they have to work with us. So no, I'm kidding. Dog park. I mean, there's no place. I got 2 pugs. You've probably seen us walking around there and stuff. I mean, it's pretty painful not a place to let your dog off the leash and let them go run free, unless you want to get a skunk out in the woods or something like that. Lots of information, by the way. Thank you, Living on West Point, for the skunk, the stuff that you guys, the remedies. Thank you, yeah. Anyway, we're looking at dog park options. We have to be very careful. Belfort Beatty owns quite a bit of the land, and they're in the process. They need a lot of that for staging area and stuff. So we're looking at stuff that the Garrison owns, and so we're heard you. We're getting after that piece, trying to turn it into an Eagle Scout project. So that's hopefully coming. In and out processing. My new DHR is all over this piece and stuff. This is our first and last your first and last impressions of when you come into West Point. We're going to get after that piece. We're also going to make it a little bit more user-friendly down there. I think you've seen the ID card online sign-up piece. That's cool. If you haven't used it, no more waiting in line. You get online, you can get down there. That's your appointment. They see you, and you're in and out type of thing. We're going to make it more customer-friendly type of piece. The 5-star hotel is going to no longer be the 5-star hotel in the March time frame, we think. Of when? April time frame. Privatization of all Army lodging. It's our turn, and they're turning that into a Holiday Inn Express. Plus, they're going to build an extra wing on that piece. That's who bought that's the IHG is the company that the Army signed up with. It's not anything we're doing. It's just you will do type of piece, and I think you'll see improvements. My biggest concern, to be honest with you, is making sure that we negotiate with them for PCSing families in and out. If we lose control of that, but we will work with them. But anyway, that's a good news story. Type of thing. They will put money into it that I can't, which is great, and you'll see that almost immediately. Okay, and I apologize. I know I'm putting out a lot of stuff here, but I want to do something. Let me talk about safety for a second. I got myself in a little bit of trouble with Highland Falls, not because it was miscommunication. I got to say, the communication with Highland Falls, Mayor and I have sat down, we broke bread together and stuff like that, and we're trying to get after it. And let me give you a quick snippet on Highland Falls that we're working with. Highland Falls looks the exact same way it was 15 years ago and stuff like that. The Army a long time ago took away their tax base. I mean, this is the problem. They can't tax their people anymore, so they can't improve the place. We took all their land. And so we are working with trying somehow to increase their tax base. If it's giving back land in some sort of a capacity or doing out-of-box creations, to get after and increase their tax base, we need to do that to make our outside community better, okay? And so we're working very closely with the mayor on this piece. But one of our first engagements was, I almost got hit by a delivery driver. You know, and I had a couple other people, once they found out who I was, they came up to me and says, hey, so these delivery drivers are driving all over the place, and our kids are out, and, you know, a lot of the time, our kids played in the street. I mean, that was sort of, you know, you go up in a lot of these housing areas, that's where they play and stuff. And so I'm very concerned about the driving on post from a safety standpoint. So I put a very strict policy out to the delivery folks out there that you get one shot. We get you for driving. I'm going to suspend your driving privileges. I'm not kidding around with this. No warning. You know, none of that stuff. You know, I'm going to be pretty strict on that. The problem is, it was received that I'm no more deliveries on. That's not it at all. So anyway, that's what we're doing. I'm getting after the speeding piece. I asked Keith to bring something to me because the Sergeant Major and I are all trying to get all over the place. I run through the areas and I do all kinds of stuff. I have physically stopped 3 officers for riding their bicycles, and I know they were officers because they were in uniform without a helmet on. This is a helmet, a 5-year-old who met up with a Mustang at 25 miles an hour, and she was wearing a helmet, and she's okay. That's a good thing. We had, you know, Keith made an important, you know, statement to me, and he's right. As a parent, there's 2 things you don't want to hear a doctor tell you: cancer and traumatic brain injury, okay? And I got to tell you, the Sergeant Major and I have been making more on-the-spot corrections about children and adults out there riding their bikes, skateboarding, you know, bicycling, you know, all those wheeled functions that they do. And trust me, I had a little terror myself, you know, that was on that stuff, not wearing the proper protective equipment. And I'm asking for help from the community to get after this piece. I want to get the MPs back out there to do a little bit more of education and enforcement, not through gotcha and arrest you type of stuff, but no kidding, let's do the right things and keep our people safe. You cannot drive around here without somebody running, or a cadet or a kid out there and stuff, and it just would kill me that if something bad happened. We just need to be very careful with that piece. So I'm asking for your help on that. Running. Everybody's running. It's great, beautiful weather and stuff like that. Please be sane, okay? Reflective belt is awesome, you know, type of thing. You know, the Army in their great and black PT shorts. I wish they were more fluorescent and stuff like that. But anyway, please be seen when you're out there running, and be careful with that when they're out there. Hunting season. Hunting season starts 1 October. It's 2 weeks earlier this year. Now it's bow season. And there are hunting areas in the area. The J's, if you call them, up behind the ski slope and stuff like that, is bow hunting. And then in October it turns to shotgun only hunting and stuff like that. Being a hunter myself, it's very safe. But I just want to make the population aware of it that's out there. And it's a good thing, because there's a lot of deer running around this place, and believe it or not, you talk to the biologists. If we don't take care of the deer, all the natural predators are gone. Body whites go down. Disease starts running through it. They're eating the underbrush, which is causing erosion all over the place. So it's important. Okay. Last things, and I'm going to open it up for questions. 2 cases already since I've been in command of cyberbullying. You guys tracking what cyberbullying is and stuff? The dean and the superintendent have asked me to reach out to the community to help on this. We're going to work with SCPME, the Simon Center for the Professional Military Ethic, as well as through PAO channels and some of our other. But both cases of the cyberbullying were not cases of they were dependents. Okay, and so we got to figure out how we can get after this piece here. I think anybody that's lived here for a little bit knows what I'm talking about. The last thing is this is a net zero installation, which means that by 2020 we're supposed to be producing as much energy as we're using. That was a great concept. It briefed real well, I think, when someone signed us up for this. And it would work great if it was some of those other places. And I'm laughing right now, and I'm not. Please don't take it the wrong way. It's just that these buildings were built a long time ago, and you cannot make them energy efficient enough. It's probably the best way of putting it. So we're going to work back with the community, but that doesn't mean we can't conserve energy in some standpoint. I told you that we're already maxed out on our energy capacity, and it's very important that we get after this from a recycling standpoint, from an energy conservation standpoint. Until we do certain things on this post, and they're all expensive. And I'll give you an example. I have to put new chillers into some of these buildings. I didn't know what a chiller was. It sounded pretty cool, like, you know, but it's not. It's a big piece of machinery that it works in with the heating and cooling of the building, sort of, right? And it costs a lot of money, and you can't get any of the old grads to come up and say, you know, it's great to be the donor for the new tennis center, but I can't get a donor for the new chiller, you know, inside of it. It just doesn't sell very well. So anyway, but it is a net zero, because we're going to get after this piece. There's a lot of neat things that are after. We're going to put it on the website on what we're already doing, both from an energy standpoint. You'll notice that the lights out here in a lot of places are more bright than they were. Instead of the dull yellow and stuff, the fluorescent ones are going in, which is pretty cool. Those actually save a lot of energy for us. And you'll see a lot of other cost-saving stuff. But anyway, I ask you as a community to get after this. And here's the cool piece about our recycling center out there on 293. All the money that goes to that recycling center comes back to the community. Do you know the wall that's inside the youth center? You know, the climbing wall? That was paid for by recycling center money. It comes back to. So we get that. We've got a great American. If you've never been out there, go see him. He's got a small team of guys, superstars, that are getting after the recycling piece. And just so I'm clear, I'm not at odds with Belfour Beatty. That was part of the contract. All of your recycling that you do in your house goes to Belfour Beatty, and that's part of it. But stuff that the Boy Scouts do and stuff that, you know, the school does and blah, 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 and stuff like that all goes to the recycling center. So, okay. My wife is giving me the shut up sign. And you can thank her later.
Sir, before you move on, let's make sure if we could have the housing mayors stand up, please, and kind of introduce themselves and the housing areas, please.
I'm Erin Raymond, and I'm mayor of Leestone. I'm Terry Brown, and I'm over in Lee and covering down on Grego and Wilson Road.
Okay, that brings up an important point. You see that these were all from my mayors that are up here, and they're not here. Oh, there you are. You're okay.
I'm here for Geraldine Scheffler for Barron Quarters. I'm Lois 6
Great, thank you very much. Very important, because this is how we get information out about the housing areas and such like that. And so that's an important piece to this piece. And so thank you, both of you, for what you do. I know you're doing this voluntarily and stuff, and we appreciate it. Okay, now here's where I'm going to, remember my rules of engagement here. I'm going to open it up for questions and answers, and we're taking notes on this. I promise you that if we don't have the answer for you, we will take it down and we will respond back to you. We did, if you came in, for you guys that came in, I wanted you to have something, because websites are based upon you actively pursuing information. I wanted to hand you all these guys. I said, give me all the most frequently asked questions, and that'll eventually go on the website in your lanes. And they're out there. I killed a couple of trees with it, and I know I just told you about the recycling thing, but it was important that you have that. Read through those, okay, because there's some pretty good information. There's stuff that I didn't know that we did, in hours and questions, and why do we do this, and how come, and that type of stuff. But read through each of those lanes, and at the bottom of a lot of those places are actually the contact information for those individuals. All right, so with that, I will stop, and we'll start taking some questions. I didn't cover everything. Yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead.
We actually need that because I'm actually taping this. We're going to put it on the website.
I'm Candace Banks, and we live in Old English South on Wilson Road, 21B Wilson Road. And I've been coming to the community meeting since I've been here, and I still have the same issues unresolved from all of my last meetings. The street lights up on down Wilson Road are either one, the glass is completely broken, or two, the glass is broken and the light doesn't work, or the glass is not broken and the light doesn't work. The brand new post that was knocked down by the snow removal has never worked, period. So there's probably 15 lamp posts that are either broken, I have broken glass, or lamps that don't work. I brought this up 2 years ago. It's never been addressed.
So they've been out for 2 years, is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
So,
Okay.
all right, moving on. I'm so happy that you were almost hit by a truck, personally, because
Thank you, I think.
I'm the crazy woman of Wilson Road that flags people down when I'm in my garden to slow down.
Good.
Wilson Road, at every entrance from Kinsley Hill Road to Smith Road to Wilson South to Wilson North, has a sign that says no through traffic. Between 6 and 9 a.m., the contractors, the cadets, on the weekends, the employees of the Demtech Clinic cut through our neighborhood to avoid making that crazy hard turn near the wooden white houses to get up to the upper parking lot.
Right.
And they not only come through a restricted road, they're speeding, they're going over 15 miles an hour, and they're running the stop sign 50% of the time at Wilson and Kinsley Hill Road, where all 3 bus stops for all 3 schools is located at that stop sign. And I've had conversations with your predecessor, I've had them standing there at the dog leg turn where we live, and they've witnessed cars almost do a head-on collision, and where they've brought speed bumps out 5-10 minutes after they called them in and put them, but we're not allowed to have speed bumps now. I don't know who made that decision, if that was your predecessor, if that's Army-wide, but they help, but we don't have them. We all have purchased hundreds of dollars of safety signs. Somebody stole my safety man with the flag, gone. I don't know what they did with them. I'm sure it was retaliation. We also have, just the speeding. Anyway, so you can feel me.
Huge
here.
problem up
It is
there.
a huge problem. And I understand that there's only so many MPs that you're needed elsewhere, but why is there always an MP on Stony Lonesome Road catching speeders? Why? We're not having kids almost hit there. We're having kids almost hit on Wilson Road. If we can get a greater presence there. I even suggested perhaps at the YS parking lot how we put the cement blocks closing off Building 600's parking lot so people can't cut through to Gray Ghost. Can we close Wilson Road off to stop the through traffic? And they're forced to use the road that they're supposed to use off of Thayer Road. And so that's just one idea. But we're working with our kids. They're equipped with safety equipment. We're supervising them. We're hand signaling drivers. I've contacted the cadet BTO, and he's put word out to cadets. So anyway, that's my concern. I know we're not going to get a resolve.
No, that's good. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, if you could?
I can address a couple of them. The speed bumps, ma'am, it's a DOD regulation. The DOD, it's DOD, not DA, right? Sorry, maybe I get confused. They had been effective, but when we used them in the past and we violated the DOD regulation because of the complaints. For every person that we have calling to complain that we need them out there, we get 2 or 3 people that call and complain because they're damaging their vehicles. Because if you have a nice car and you hit them, if you have one that's big enough to slow you down, if you hit it every day, it causes damage to the vehicle. You do see them a lot on Stony. The biggest reason why you do is you see the cadet traffic coming up to their cars all the time. That turn at the base of Stony, at the end of the reservoir. I mean, I have a big truck, so I make noise every time I make the turn, even if I'm going 15. But people squeal around that turn. They get the run going down the hill. So we do often do target enforcement there because they hit that turn going so fast, and it's such a hard turn at speed. But we have tried to do more targeted enforcement. We have a shortage in our traffic section right now that'll hopefully be a little better here in the weeks ahead. But targeted enforcement is the best way we can do it. And comments like yours, so they're not complaints, they're comments. And they help us focus the enforcement where it needs to be. So please, if you see errors like that, continue to say it, tell your friends. The more people that say it, then the more emphasis I say. I'm like, sorry, Major, where's target? Why aren't we doing target enforcement?
We put our own signage out. We contact supervisors of the departments down there, and I'm iced. Sergeant Carpenter has been very responsive, but I mean, his hands are, can't do much, so. All right, so moving on, not to monopolize this thing. West Point Tours, is there any way you can send a nice memo to them saying that they can't do their tours at 5 miles an hour on post? Ring Weekend is a great example. I counted 25 cars behind a bus going 5 miles an hour, showing the Lusk Reservoir and Mikey. If they want to talk about it, pull over and talk about it.
Right.
Can the PX have a refrigerator case inside the PX with milk, beer, chilled sodas?
Those consumable items are actually products that's based out of the shopette, the Express, and the Express is actually in proximity to the main exchange, and it's not really part of the assortment that belongs to the exchange.
Because I know other PXs that are that close to shopettes have a refrigerator case.
Yeah, it just depends on what type of exchange it is. There's some that's considered a troop store, and we're not considered a troop store, but they're allowed to carry those type of consumables.
Okay. Here's my wish list. Vista cutting, I know you have no money.
I'm sorry, which
Vista, trimming of trees. I have $1 million view and a $50 tree blocking it. If there's any way, there's DPW's out cutting trees that are sick. This had just happened to us, that they cut some trees down and they couldn't cut some branches off the tree right next to it because they said there's no money. But the
that's a
equipment
great
was
point.
there.
That's a great point. In fact, we were discussing that the other day. You've got more information on that than I do.
Well, I quite frankly suggested as soup they work on vista cutting because this is history, old history. I mean, you were a kid when I did this. For those who remember General Christmas, in 1997 and 1998, he cleared the vistas around West Point so people could understand, not so much make a beautiful view across the river, people understand why West Point was here, so they could see the views that the Continental, that George Washington saw, why they created West Point. And he personally went around with the agronomist, Bob Jones, said, cut these trees, cut those trees, cut this and that. And I whispered in the soup's ear, so I don't know if he's talking.
No, that's a great point, and we'll get after that. DPW will love me because out of my 180 plus vacancies, they're short 118.
And we love living here.
No, it's great. Those are great points, and I appreciate you bringing them up. Please continue to bring that type of stuff up. Some of the stuff's hard to get after. It really is. It doesn't mean we're just going to throw up our arms and say, hey, we haven't done it for 12 years, and so we're not going to do it anymore. We will come up with something unique, and we will continue to target it. So I appreciate those comments. Any others? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Bridget Babbitt. I'm here informally representing a small group of deployed spouses. Just wanted to remind everybody there are active duty deployed people here. Okay. We have informally gathered about 25 of us. Most of our husbands are individual augmentees. They're attached to other units. Some of the spouses have chosen to stay here because it didn't make sense to PCS when the husband immediately deployed after they get there. For the most part, the majority of us are experienced spouses, have handled deployment before, so we are self-sufficient, able to take care of things on a day-to-day basis. Specific concern is on a rear detachment kind of thing, and there may be something in place that we haven't heard of, but in the, God forbid, we have a VSI or KIA, everybody who has a rear detachment that's here is very remote. So, for example, I went on vacation this summer, and my husband's parents went on vacation separate places this summer. So the PNOK and the SNOK were both in different locations. I attempted to get in touch with my husband's command numerous times, and they don't seem to be aware that he exists currently. So if we could have wish list, like a mini rear detachment thing just for the case of emergency, specifically the God forbid emergencies, somewhere like a centralized kind of a thing. I'm not aware of one if there is one.
Okay, so I'm tracking. And I'm sure you've got spouses that belong to the dean side of the house, the comm side of the house, that are okay. I'll take that back to the leadership and we need to do a better job. And I think we can consolidate, and I may ask for some help on this piece. G1 for USMA. So, and we owe you an answer back on that. If you would, afterward, if you wouldn't mind, please get with Nels and give him your contact information. That's a great point. I mean, we don't think about that stuff. It's easy at other units because units deploy and
Right,
stuff,
yeah,
but from an
deploy
individual augmentation standpoint, we could do a better job at that, so. Great. Any other thing? You good?
No.
Okay.
Can I just ask, have you contacted ACS?
Yes.
And they're not able to help you?
The procedure now appears to be that when the soldier is doing the SRP, they are given a packet of information to bring home to the spouse, indicating that the spouse is staying in the local area. What the spouse chooses to do with that at that point appears to be kind of a flexible thing. There doesn't appear to be a central tracking like there would be in a regular deploying unit, FRG kind of a thing where everybody knows where these deployed people are. It seems to be if you seek out, so if you would like to be part of the Hearts Apart group, which is a social/mini class monthly gathering, you track them down, the information is given to your spouse. For those of us who have done multiple deployments, this is less of an issue. There are some spouses who come here and have recently married their husbands, even though their husband has been around for a while, and they may not know quite as much. I mean, I've taken the command spouse group FRG leader course, like 3 different iterations, and I've done the death class, and there are a lot of people who don't know the procedures. Getting them to the meetings is another thing entirely, but it's just kind of, it seems to be very, very loosely handled here. There's no central grab you spot. We do have spouses here also who are, there's one enlisted spouse who's a National Guard activated person who lives on post, who's here. It's a big conglomeration. There's some people from Stewart.
It sounds like we need to centralize it.
Yeah.
ACS has got a role in this. I'll ask my sergeant major to get involved with this as well. And we owe you an answer back. There needs to be, we're piecemealing it right now. We need to consolidate it.
It's really just for the emergency things. I mean, if you want to get us some free tickets to something cool, that'd be great also. But really, it's the emergency stuff that's more imperative.
Okay, great. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So with the yard sale coming up this weekend, notoriously a parking problem all over Post. And additionally, just in Stony one whole side of the street is no parking, and it's a very nicely marked, the side with the sidewalk, no parking. We frequently have people who still, not even at the yard sale, because it's a whole other issue, park on the wrong side of the street. I've seen people parked below the no parking sign on the wrong side of the street. And I've seen MPs drive past that and do nothing. So I don't know what the policy is on non-yard sale weekends or weekdays. Do we ticket those people? Do we not do anything?
Part of the problem is, we try to maintain the relationship with the community.
Of course.
So during the yard sale days, unless somebody's blocking someone in, definitely if you call and you say, hey, there's someone in my driveway, we'll get out and we'll write the ticket. But
Well,
the yard sale
I disagree with you on that, because my driveway was blocked for 2 hours last fall, and 2 MPs walked past. And I said, hey, I can't get out of my driveway. And they said, ma'am, we've been told we can't do anything.
That was the April yard sale?
Yes, that was the April yard sale. So I do disagree with you on that.
And there may be some misinformation. Sometimes things start at the top and guidance goes out, and by the
Right.
time it gets to the lowest level, it changes somewhat. But the policy is we try to understand the fact that not everyone knows. We get a lot of people come in from off post.
Right.
What we don't want to do is create an environment that leads people not to want to come to the yard sale on West
Sure.
Point, because it's a huge moneymaker for the families. But when people call, 3333 and say, hey, there's a problem, it's in front of my house, I've got an elderly mom, I've got a sick kid, I need to be able to go at a moment's notice, or just, I know I'm going to be leaving in an hour and there's somebody blocking my driveway. Our position is we're going to get out there and do something about it. If an MP told you that, they told you the wrong thing.
Okay.
But the desk sergeant at 3333 has the authority to make that, to correct that
Right.
problem. But again, our goal is to keep people informed, to give warnings instead of tickets, to ask people to move before we have to tell them to move.
Right.
We always like to ask, tell, and then take action.
Sure.
Because it's all about relationships. And our relationship with the local community is very important to the well-being and the long-term success of the garrison.
So when we have residents who refuse to comply and continue to park in front of their house on the sidewalk side, do we do anything about that?
Yes, ma'am, we write a lot of tickets. I get ICE complaints
Okay.
on a regular basis of people getting tickets.
Okay.
There are many directors, senior people, senior employees that call me personally and say, I got yet another ticket. Because we try to give a warning, a 1408 the first time, which goes nowhere, goes to the chain of command, lets
Right.
the spouse or the service member lets their chain of command know, but there's no fee involved. Usually you get a written warning the first time, and then maybe a paid ticket the second time. But the goal is not to do that.
Right.
Because no one wants to give up $60, and that's dinner out for a family at least.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Then the only other question I had was about the football shuttle. There used to be a shuttle that went through Stony, and now there's not. Do you,
Yeah, I can address that. The shuttle runs from the PX parking lot,
right.
and the reason why it runs from the PX parking lot is we were getting a lot of complaints because the shuttle buses were trying to work their way through Stony, through the narrow streets and all.
All right.
So, if you're in Lee, you're walking from Lee to Washington to catch a bus. So
Right.
we figure if you're in Stony, walk over to the PX parking lot.
Yeah.
and pick it up.
I had one of my residents asked me about that. So, but another resident with the shuttle buses in general, but post shuttle buses, with the reduction in parking spaces, is the shuttle bus schedule going to increase? Is that?
We added, just to give you an example, right now, and it was staggering to me, for you to get on the shuttle bus and go to someplace on post, on one of the lines, it costs the Garrison $5.82. It's almost cheaper to call a cab,
Right.
from a Garrison standpoint. And to come back, it's another $5.82. We took away the parking when we paved, a lot of parking, when we paved Thayer Road. I mean, that's a lot of parking back there. We increased the shuttles dramatically, put it out as much as we could to all the customers. The ridership did not increase. People found other places to park. That's just the way it is. And I saw it, the same thing you're saying. My God, those huge buses always going around here. Can't we get smaller buses that are more efficient and that type of thing? It's not. It's, you start talking with a driver and you start talking about the fuel and stuff. There is no big cost efficiency. It'll cost me more to buy newer vehicles than it will. I looked at it, had them brief it ad nauseum. I did the same thing that you did. This is killing me. I look at that every morning. We see the buses going by, and there's one person on it, and it's killing me. We don't use public transportation here. No matter how much parking you take away, they find someplace else to park. It's amazing. Now, I will tell you that I'm getting draconian on the parking spot, especially up in the near the optic. The parking and up there, I can't get emergency vehicles up there. And I've told him no more warning, no more, go straight to ticket. And if it keeps us from moving, getting emergency vehicles up in there, towing's a last resort because we have to pay for the damage that we do and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, it becomes a life, limb, eyesight type of thing that we go to the towing piece, but we're going to ticket a lot faster. Nobody in this room will be alive before we fix the parking problem. Okay, here. So we've got to figure out how to live with it. I understand that piece. Eventually, someday, there is a plan, but it's not till in the 2020 range that we've got land that's designated to put a parking garage behind where the old, where Central Apartments is. But that's it won't be like 2025. We'll have hover vehicles by then and we'll have to worry about it. So, but great points. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Laura Mayer. I'm a spouse community member here, but I also work for West Point Tours. I'll talk to them about the bus and the Association of Graduates. But I have two questions. One is the safety you mentioned with the high population of Chinese visitors we have. As a tour guide, I know there are some very weak measures that go into play as far as preparing manifests and getting those people onto post. But once they're here, there's lots of pictures taking. We do our best to corral them, and it's very much under the herding cats category. And I also recognize the constraints we have with security guards and MPs. is something really actively being sought after? Because that portion of our visitors is just increasing every year in the 3 years I've been working for them. So is that something you can talk about?
No.
I have a
that's
second
good.
question too, but that's the
Let
first
me
one.
give you, and you guys stop me if I do something stupid here. The superintendent has gone to Northcom through the chief of staff of the Army and would like West Point to be the pilot for an open post. This is a national landmark that people come here. This is the nation's military academy, oldest post. You know the spiel better than I do. I'm a history major. There are enough measures in place around the cadets, and that's really the target, if you will, if there would be a target. And enough measures that they have and other security stuff that may not be as apparent to what you see, that we want to get to an open post again. I don't know about you, I'm tired of living in fear, type of thing. I think it's time to open up our post. It does a great job of curbing, criminal activity. We haven't had any of our installations in the United States, correct me if I'm wrong here, attacked in a terrorist activity since September 11th across the nation. So anyway, that's what they're moving towards. West Point tours is a great thing. When I first got here, I was a little bit stood back type of thing, but it's a great thing because you do corral them, you do keep them, you do take them around, and they have you keep them together, and then you take them off type of thing. That's a very good thing. Everybody in this room, everybody on this post, we are all censors, if you will. If we see something out of the ordinary, we need to report it. That's our best measure for security and stuff. But until right now, there is no credible threat to the academy other than natural disasters and then those ones you can't control. Something like that happened out in Colorado. And then we're in a react mode. You will never be able to have enough security in order to put something in place for that. Does that sort of make sense? It's a good question, but what we're doing is, I think it's the Northcom, who is our, manages that stuff, and the superintendent, they feel comfortable with it. We have a lot of random measures and stuff we put in place. There's more people out there, I guess, protecting this place than you think, which is a good thing.
That's comforting. Good to know. Yeah. My second question, Constitution Island. It's been in the news quite a bit. Is it going to become part of the national park system? Will that remain in West Point hands as the Warner sisters deeded many years ago, or helped instrument? What's going on with that?
Constitution Island was bequested, given as a gift and a will to the U.S. government, specifically for West Point, for the use of cadets. So it's in the will that they did not want it to become a park for public people or anything else. They wanted it to be used by cadets. So we do everything we can to get cadets to use it. This past year, for example, the Beast Barracks, as busy as they are, they actually took the time, took every one of them over to the island to have them walk around with Roddy and see all the historical stuff there, with the idea that they would bring their parents later. So as far as I know, it's going to stay, it's going to be part of West Point and part of our system, not a park.
I'll reserve the rest of my questions for an ICE issue. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question regarding the CDC. I've been very happy with the CDC. The teachers have been wonderful, the staff's been great. Just lately, it's been rather chaotic, and I know there's been a lot of changes. It's been frustrating as a parent to not know what's going on. I know staff's moving, I know things are going on. I don't know if this is a Garrison thing or just a strictly CYS thing or CDC. I'm not even sure where to talk to. It's just been, as a parent, kind of going in every day. My daughter just goes to hourly because there's no standard part-time care. It's just hourly, which has been fine. But it's been very up and down over the last couple of months. New teachers, new rooms, and I know they've been doing a lot of work over at Stony, all for the better. It feels like a lot of the parents have just been a little bit in the dark. And I don't know if it's because I'm only hourly and that we don't get any other information. It's just more of a comment that it's been a little stressful for a working parent with a 2-year-old who's been doing all these changes and not really sure if they're done. From what I heard today, they're done changing, but it just would have been nice to have a little bit of a heads up.
Right.
Just more of a comment. I know a lot of other parents have felt the same way.
No, good comment. Mara?
Thank you. I think that Lesson learned. I think we should be more proactive in the area of communication and put out the big plan. But there were a lot of changes going on. The hourly care moved from Lee back to Stony. Parte preschool is in both facilities. There were floors being replaced. There were regular room changes due to the beginning of the academic year. So there were a lot of changes, and you're right, we probably should have seen the bigger picture and the confusion to the parents and put it out front a few months ago. But I do believe they are just about finished with the floors, and everything else is pretty much going on track right now.
Is Facebook a way to get information out? Is that what the community uses? Okay. I mean, pull up our Facebook real quick, just real quick. I'm very sensitive to Facebook. One, to make sure that we're putting out stuff that I'm supposed to. But I got my two lawyers back there that they haven't done this to me yet. So keep going up, please. A couple of things in the Facebook. In the notes piece, you'll notice there's only 6 of them in there. This is me. This is me talking to the community, okay? Nobody puts anything on from the Garrison standpoint that has access to this. This is my way of talking directly to the community. So when you see those, that's what that piece is. What I don't want this Facebook to do, and Mills has got the task with this, I don't want it to turn into white noise. You get so much Facebook stuff on there. And so I need you guys to sort of help me regulate that, okay? What type of information do you want on there, and what's important for that piece? So that you just don't get another Facebook feed and stuff, and we miss critical information. So we're sort of Facebook babies on this, okay, and we're learning, all right? But I guess I need feedback from the community on this piece, on the Facebook stuff. I will tell you that I will continue using, when we ask questions to the community on, hey, what about this or this? That's been very helpful for me on who votes on that piece. But we'll use this as a medium. We'll definitely use our website as a medium for that. I do know that they watched a lot of the Living on West Point posts about the Lee's, hourly care coming down. Again, that was my call, and I will tell you that was a financial decision. We almost had to shut down certain services that we provide if we didn't do that. And I have Lisa Watson down there came up with an initiative, and she showed me it was staggering the amount of money we saved by doing that. I know it wasn't convenient, but it was staggering. And that's what we've just sort of got to tighten the belt on some of these things. But anyway, great.
It seems like it's worked out in terms of the moving, and just, a lot of the parents were concerned, because I know there used to be the 2 to 5, and there's a lot of us that are my age for some reason.
Right.
And so there was a concern that, we're not going to get enough care. It seems like it's starting to work out.
We're very open, at least I am, and I know it's painful to these guys, that I want to know what we can't fix what we can't fix what we don't know what's broken, type of thing. So you got more communication is better. I can't please everything, but I definitely want to know, that piece. And these guys do a great job with that. We did have a lot of problems up there at Stony. We replaced a lot of floors up there, which was important. We need to do that. And we had a lot of air conditioning problems and stuff up there. We just get to a certain point, and you want us to do this, that if it gets too hot up there, we send your kids home for safety reasons. I mean, that's number one care type of thing. So, but great comments. Thank you. Any others? Anything from up here that I missed that we want to put out? Sergeant Major, anything?
Yes, sir. Right now, we're just looking for some the housing mayors right now. We're currently short 3 housing mayors in the Stony 2, Gray Ghost, and Old Brick area. So on the table outside is a info paper and a volunteer paper that talks about what those duties are and what the expectations are when you become a housing mayor. There's a packet that will be submitted, which will come up and be looked at by myself and some of the other housing mayors to make sure that we are selecting the right people for the job. But in order to get some of the information out, we actually need those mayors to do that. I know the role has changed a lot. Me and Teresa Brown talked about the role has changed a lot because now we're privatized, but the mayors are still an effective tool for getting information out and handling issues. So I ask on your way out, if you're interested, you know anybody that is interested, that you grab an info paper out there, and hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll see some packets up there so I can have some housing mayors for those housing areas that don't have any.
last couple of things. One, worth your time tonight? I mean, honestly, coming here? Do it again? Okay. Same place, venue okay? I mean, the Jewish chapel's gorgeous, by the way. Same venue okay up here? Right people up here? Did I have the right folks? I'm surprised you guys didn't beat up Belfort Beatty. They've got like, they're over there just going, No, I'm kidding. And then how frequent? Quarterly, okay? Quarterly? Semi-annually? I want quarterly, okay? All right, good. Please, I have more staff members here tonight than I do community members, and which is what they told me would happen, but I think that's right for the first thing, okay? So we'll try it another time, one more time to make sure we get more feedback. So please put it out there and say, hey, listen, I think it was worth the time. Now, all of us are going to stay here. Please come up and talk to us afterward. Any individual questions you had, there's refreshments. Thank you to the commissary, right, that provided those for us. I started to make sure I'm doing that stuff. And thank you very much for your time. Appreciate what you all do. So
before you close out, is one more thing you need to do. I think if I could have the housing mayors come up, sir, and I think both the housing mayors can come up because they've been long-standing housing mayors and have done a great job, I think, for the organization. I think we should present them with a Garrison Coring shirt this time.
Very much. Really appreciate it. Great comment. We had a photographer that was in here, so anyway. Anyway, Terry, thank you very much. Very much. So, Terry also works for me, so she has to be good. So anyway, all right, great. Thank you very much.